What's up YouTube? Capital G here, talking Dark Illusion, and we've got 4 new cards to talk about. Some other people have already done videos about this. I saw these cards early Sunday morning, but then I decided to talk about some other stuff, and then Yuchi hit me up with a deck list and a video, and I was like, this seems pretty cool, so I decided to do some other stuff instead of making a video on this, and I got caught up watching the fighting game tournaments on Twitch, NorCal Regionals and whatnot. So anyways, there are 4 new cards to talk about. We've got some Blackwing support, we've got a field spell, we've got a Performapal, and we have a new Synchro card, or a new Synchro monster. So first up is Performapal Radish Horse. It's level 4. Let's see, it's an earth, it's a plant. How can it be a horse and be a plant? That's weird. 500 attack, 2000 defense. What is its pendulum scale? I'm trying to zoom in right quick. It's a pendulum scale 3. Okay, these are what the cards look like, by the way. And some of these cards we've already seen, like Pot of Cupidity and whatnot. All right, and the pendulum effect says once per turn you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls and one Performapal monster you control. Your opponent's monster loses attack equal to the attack of your targeted Performapal monster. So that seems like a really good effect. To be honest, it's kind of like it's like a reverse honest, in a sense. You know what's funny? It seems like they're trying to build more and more ways for Performapals to get around a card like Domain of the True Monarchs. Even though that's odd because Domain went to 1 in Japan. But this is another just card that you could play that would essentially out Domain because, assuming your opponent didn't have like March on the field, you could target like Joker and an Erebus, and then the Erebus would lose 1800 attack, and then you could just run Erebus over. Like it really wouldn't matter what his attack was at that point. It's not going to be high enough to where he can survive that. The monster effect says if your opponent controls special summon monsters and you do not control more monsters than your opponent, you can special summon this card from your hand. It's not bad. It's like a kind of Cyber Dragon-ish, except your opponent has to have like some type of special summon monsters to essentially, do that effect. It's like Cyber Dragon mixed with like the Fiend Mega Cyber, because the Fiend Mega Cyber, for you to summon it, like your opponent had to have more monsters than you. So it's like a weird cross, but those monsters have to be special summoned. That's not bad. It's not bad. Effect number 2, once per turn, target one face-up monster you control and one face-up monster your opponent controls until the end phase of this turn. That monster loses attack equal to this card's attack, and your monster gains attack equal to this card's attack. Okay, so this second effect is kind of similar to the first effect in a sense. That you're making a monster on your opponent's side of the field lose attack, but it's not nearly as potent because essentially you're going to be taking 500 attack away from your opponent's monster and then giving one of your monsters 500 attack. I don't see that as groundbreaking. Like, I don't think that's going to be dual deciding like the first, like the pendulum effect is, but it's not that bad. You know what I mean? The fact that this guy is level 4 and Earth, Naturia Beast, and 4 is something that, Performapals have shown that's a level that they obviously synergize well with. It being Earth means, again, more Naturia Beast plays, which, you can just throw that in with things like cards that we already run, like, Pendulum Sorcerer. He's Earth too for Nat Beast. Next up, we've got Blackwing Tornado, the Reverse Wind. This is a dark winged beast, like all Blackwings, level 4, 1000 attack, 1200 defense. It says if your opponent controls a special summon monster, when this card is normal summon, you can target one Blackwing Tuner in your graveyard, special summon that monster, but that monster's effects are negated, and you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Blackwing monsters. Well, Blackwings have been getting, I'm gonna say that's actually a pretty decent effect. It's kind of like a higher level Blizzard, but it works obviously best if your opponent controls a special summon monster. With Blackwings getting all of these new tuners, not all of them are great. This does allow you to go into some very easy synchro plays. At first I was like, oh, well, you can exceed if you get like a level 4. Is there a level 4 Blackwing tuner? I don't think so. But there are other bunch of good ones like Gale. You can get, Yeah, you can get Gale, Vayu. I don't think anybody really plays Vayu, but I'm gonna say that this card is pretty decent. I wish it was anytime it was normal summon because it has enough, like it has a decent amount of restrictions on it. You can only special summon Blackwings, and you know, the monster doesn't get its effect, so it's not like you can get Gale and then cut another monster in half. Like I think you can do that with Blizzard, but you can't even do that with this. So I'm gonna say this card is decent. You know, I'm not sure if it'll see meta play in a deck like Blackwings. Next up is Coral Dragon. Now, I don't know. I read this card and I was like, I was kind of a little, I was like, instantly when I read this card, I was like, is this supposed to be like a replacement for Brionac? Or are they just going to errata Brionac to once per turn? But I don't know. As soon as I read this card, it reminded me of Brionac. Maybe it was the fact that it was a Synchro 6 and it was water. I was like, that really reminds me of Brionac. The attack is 2400. Brio is like 2300. 500 defense. Crazy thing about this guy, he's also a tuner. I don't know if that's a typo or what, but this card right here, this guy is also a tuner, so that opens up some pretty cool plays if you want to synchro up. Unfortunately, you can't use him for, well, actually, hold on. Yeah, no, you can totally use him for Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. I thought about that. As long as your other, no, I don't. That would be so weird because your other monster would have to also be a synchro, and it would have to be level 2 unless you did like some weird plays with Level Eater, and the only, you know, like Formula Synchron is already a tuner too, so that won't work. So I mean, I guess you hypothetically it's possible. I just think it would be difficult. But anyways, so it says 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners, so he's generic. Okay, we gotta like that. It says the 2 effect can only be used once per turn. The 2 effect's actually really good. The effect number 1, once per turn, you can discard a card, then target a card on your opponent, or target a card your opponent controls, destroy that target. This is incredibly easy to understand. Essentially, it's like Snipe Hunter, except it never misses. It's been shown anytime monsters have just built-in effects like that can, you know, bounce things or just blow things up with relatively like not a lot, you know, not a hefty cost, just being able to discard, it generally can see some meta play. Now, it being a synchro instead of like an XC, but I'm gonna say that the first effect is really good. Just being able to blow up anything, back row, front row, monsters, pendulums, you know, all of that stuff. And then the second effect is really what makes it good. If this synchro summon card is sent to the graveyard, draw 1 card. That is exceptionally good because, again, if you happen to somehow synchro with this card using it as a tuner, you will in fact draw 1 card, and then if it goes without saying, if it, you know, happens to get blown up by your opponent or ran over in battle or something like that, you'll draw a card as well. So I think that this card is really, really good. I don't know if this is the replacement to Brionac. It's a little different, and of course it's once per turn, but I think it's a very solid card. And then the last card is Semi Spell Zone. This is a field spell. It says you can only activate this card only at the start of your main phase 1 or 2. Effect number 1, during either player's main phase 1, monsters on the field cannot be targeted by or destroyed by their controller's opponent's card effects. Effect number 2, you cannot activate or set field spell cards. I don't know how relevant effect number 2 is, because if you have this card on the field, you know, I can't really see you activating any other field spells. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's some weird combo that I don't know about. People have said maybe, you know, you would activate this and then you do all your summoning shenanigans and then you know, set like another copy so that your opponent doesn't get the protection or something like that. Yeah, that seems a little far-fetched, you having like 2 copies of this. Now, the thing about it is that kind of makes this card weird is if you activate something like Terraforming and you search it, you can't play it in that same main phase 1 because it has to be, it's like Cold Wave. It has to be played at the start. It has to be literally the first thing that you do. If you normal summon a monster, you have lost your chance to activate this in main phase 1. You can still play it this turn or that turn technically by playing it in main phase 2, but the thing is, like, you want to activate this card in main phase 1 because you want to, like, if you're playing like Draco Pals or Cosmos and you want to go ham, you want that protection. You want to make sure that you're not summoning into a Torrential or a Bottomless Trap Hole or a Treacherous, or that your opponent busts out that Effect Veiler or that Ghost Ogre. Like, this card makes sure all your monsters immune to all of those cards. So you want to be able to get that protection before you go into the battle phase and, you know, or before you get wrecked by one of those cards. Also, very important to know, because essentially this card is kind of like March of the Monarchs. Again, it doesn't allow the controller of the monsters, like their opponent can't target and can't destroy that monster by battle. So essentially it's like March of the Monarchs, but the thing is, that protection only lasts during main phase 1. So don't think that your monsters are basically like unkillable, because they're not. Like your opponent could easily say, you know, go into battle phase and you'd be like no response, and they may activate like a teleport, and then they can tag out for, you know, they can just summon like a Wicked Witch, or excuse me, they can summon like a Farm Girl, and they can easily just banish her and go for Dart Destroyer and just blow up one of your monsters. Since they're in battle phase, that protection doesn't exist anymore. They can just pop cards, they can blow stuff up on your monsters or whatever, because again, that protection is only during the main phase. So this card does have some utility. I think that this card would work best in a deck where your monsters either don't die by battle, or it's really hard to kill your monsters in battle. Like, aren't Mecha Phantom Beasts like that? Aren't Mecha Phantom Beasts for the most part, like, as long as you have tokens on the field, they can't die by battle? Because then if you play this in a deck where it's very hard to run over your monsters in battle, then this card gives them the protection from the targeting and you know, card effects are being destroyed by card effects. So it seems like, you know, your monsters would pretty much become near unkillable. Like, your opponent would have to use non-targeting removal at that point, things like Rippling Mirror Force or Ignister or Madoje Queen Tiramisu, you know, shit like that. Things that either spin back to the deck, or, well, really, yeah, like I said, just spin back to the deck, or something that like banishes, if there's a non-targeting mass banish card that I just can't think of right now. But anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think of these cards. I think this Synchro is definitely meta worthy, because it's so easy to make. It's a tuner, and when it goes to the graveyard, you draw a card. Assuming it was Synchro Summon, don't try and call the Haunted it back, and then, you know, like, if it's destroyed, be like, I get to draw it. No, because it doesn't work that way. I think these cards are all pretty good. The Performapal is actually, I think it's very splashable in the Monarch match, assuming that Monarchs don't get wrecked by the ban list and they're still like a meta deck. Thank you guys for watching, as always.